Good morning. It is 9:25 a.m. on Sunday, April 7th, 2019, here in South Korea. I am Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. Actually, I've been up for a little while trying to navigate podcast recording schedules, which is tricky while I'm here and in a complete, day-night flipped time zone compared to everyone else I do podcasting stuff with. It's a challenge. But because today is Sunday morning, here at least, I am continuing my rewatch of Gravity Falls with Season 1, Episode 19, Dreamscaperers. Now, this title, Dreamscaperers, I feel like I want to parse it, right? So obviously the central word that we're pivoting on here, building on, is dreamscape, because, it takes place in the mind. So dreamscape sounds right. But then scaper, like you could build scape into capers, or you could, but then where's that extra ers come from? So dreamscaperers. So is that people who do capers in the dreamscape? I think that must be it. That's the only logical explanation. In any event, this is the first part of a two-parter that caps off Season 1 of the show. And so once again, we tie back into the big plot, which involves Gideon, the journals, the shack as a whole, and of course introducing Bill Cipher, who, knowing or not, we have been seeing in the opening credits every week. And without spoiling things that happen later in the series, I'll just say, turns out he's a significant character. And he's very cool, even just in this episode. And I have to say, just in terms of the kinds of characters that I engage with in cartoons like this, a glib con artist style Lovecraftian horror. I don't know. It's maybe Lovecraftian is not quite the right word, because that conveys in images of like tentacles and stuff like that. And yet what I'm getting at there with the Lovecraft reference is just this idea of this unknowable creature with unknowable, incomprehensible powers whose desires are alien to us. I think Bill Cipher's a cool bad guy. But in any event, what we start with in this episode is that Gideon is attempting to sneak into the Mystery Shack and steal the deed out of the safe. Now, it's presented like his cover story for why he wants the deed to the Mystery Shack is just so that he can build one of his tents on the site, and that he does not like Stan and wants revenge, and all of those things are, certainly true to some extent. But we have also, of course, been made privy to the fact that Gideon has one of the other journals similar to Dipper's, and that he knows that there is some deeper connection to that site. And of course we know that too, even though we don't know the details, because of course we've seen Stan go into the secret room in the cellar, and we are reminded of that in this episode when the kids are wandering through Stan's memories. We're reminded that exists, and it's hilarious that Seuss is the one that sees that memory and it's like, nope, not the one we're looking for, doesn't matter. And but it's also worth a brief bit of trivia to say that in case anyone is unclear, in real life, that's not how deeds work. You can't just steal the deed to someone's property and now that means you own their property. Like whoever's literally holding the piece of paper is the legal owner. That's not how deeds actually work. But you know, um, it's actually, that's a bit of trivia that the creator of the show, Alex Hirsch, answered in a Reddit AMA. And what's fun about it is that we recall in the history of the show, it's been established that the founder of Gravity Falls was a crazy person. And so it has got some unusual laws, including a finders keepers law, which means that literally whoever has the deed in their possession becomes the literal owner of things. And sure, I think that's fun. And of course, it's just like, it's all kind of moot, really, because it's really just about this idea that Gideon is not really playing by the rules anyway, right? And so we have the, this attempt that is thwarted because Gideon is not given time to continue trying random combinations in the safe. And Stan says, "You'll never find the combination because the only place I keep it is safe in my mind." And setting up, of course, the central premise of the episode. But Gideon is determined, right? And so he's looking through his own journal. What's he willing to do? And he is willing to summon this creature, Bill Cipher, to do his business. And he's thinking of it like, I'm summoning a servant for me. But it's made almost immediately obvious during that summoning that Bill Cipher seems to be much more powerful than Gideon could ever be. And in fact, what rules actually govern Bill Cipher are unclear, right? Like, he ends up making a deal with Bill Cipher, or with Gideon rather. It's like, okay, I'll help you do what you want to do, and in return, you'll help me with something I want to do. Later, he tells the kids that Gideon is going to reward him handsomely, pay him handsomely. But what does he actually want? Unclear. To be continued. But in any event, the show does a really remarkable job of not being too scary, but setting up Bill Cipher as something other, something different than what we have previously been familiar with. And so that's it's a new direction for the show, and I really dig it, actually. Just this idea of like, oh, I know things, and it's like, I know things, and his body becoming like a montage of all these images, and then just like, for example, look what I can do, just points at a deer, pulls all of the teeth out of its head with magic, apparently leaving it unharmed, and then it's just like, here, you want some deer teeth? Just, here you go, and then puts them back. And so, yeah, that's weird, creepy, and seems really powerful. So, I think the audience of the show are made to understand that Gideon's in over his head immediately, but seems to have been able to make a deal in the sense that, Bill Cipher is helping him for now. And the kids see that, and thus they're able to try to go and make their own counter move. But as a B plot going through all of this, we have Dipper, who's been feeling frustrated that Stan picks on him all the time, makes him do the hardest chores all the time, makes him go fight a bat, makes him unclog the sink. And he feels really like, he won't give me a break. He always makes me do the hardest stuff. Why is he so mean to me? And he's feeling frustrated about that. And the fact that one of the things that he has to do is go fight a bat, and then he's shown getting all scratched up, just makes me think of the time that a bat got into my apartment in North Carolina. And that was a lesson in my own mind of how sometimes something can be so unexpected that you literally just blue screen inside your brain. In any event, that's where Dipper's head is at. But certainly doesn't like Gideon. Mabel doesn't like Gideon. Nobody likes Gideon. So everyone needs to unite to try to stop Gideon. So when they see Bill Cipher's been summoned, they see that we need to do something about it. Dipper, finds in his own journal that, like, oh, he's really dangerous. Do not summon him at any cost. And now what do we need to do? Well, we're going to go into Stan's mind. And I love the design of the memory shack, where the kids are looking through Stan's memories. I like that Bill Cipher is very casual about knowing that the kids are there to stop him, and he does not care. And in fact, he completely underestimates them. He is kind of relying on himself just being intimidating and scary, and he's overconfident, right? And so the kids are kind of going through, they're looking for the memories, they're just trying to beat him to, theoretically it's like a race to the memory, to try to protect it. But how's that going to work? We don't know. And in the meantime, Dipper finds a memory in Stan's head that, at least in his limited view of it, appears to confirm his own suspicions that Stan is hard on Dipper just because he doesn't like Dipper. He thinks Dipper is weak. He thinks he just really would like to make Dipper go away. And that kind of really hurts Dipper in a very personal way, which is to be expected, because it's, when anyone is ever bullied, that's the feeling, right? And to actually have it be like this trusted authority figure, you can call him that, of Stan, and to just, he wanted there to be some explanation that's nicer than that, but he had always feared that's what it was. And so he starts separating from the others. He's bitter. Why are we even bothering to help Stan? He's bummed about that. But then, as it turns out, when we see more of the memory later, and this is after, Dipper has wandered off by himself, he finds out that, of course, the real full context of that memory was that when Stan was saying, oh yeah, he's weak, he's a loser, we just want to get rid of him, he was actually not talking about Dipper. He's talking about what people said about himself when he was a kid and was weak and a loser, and people wanted to get rid of him. And so he, even though it wasn't fun at the time, took boxing lessons. His dad toughened him up, and it actually helped him in life as he sees it. And so that's what he is trying to do with Dipper, but it's a heartwarming thing of, like, even if we could question whether or not that's actually, good parenting or raising a kid, like, is that how to do it? At least we see that it is well-intentioned. It is coming from a place of love. And so once Dipper sees that and then ends up sort of stumbling into the memory and getting a lesson in, in this mindscape, you can do anything with just your will. Just think it and it can happen. And that, of course, gives Dipper the key to defeat Bill Cipher when he engages with everybody else. So in the meantime, of course, we have, Mabel and Seuss have been looking through other memories. We see lots of more stuff about Stan being a vacuum salesman, being in a Colombian prison, these sorts of things, going on the date with Lazy Susan. And but then they find the memory that they wanted, and it's revealed, the Seuss we thought we knew turns out to have actually been Bill Cipher in disguise. And so he is getting away with the memory that he was there for. He tricked Mabel into leading him to it, because she was, of course, the one. She knew Stan and therefore was able to, find the memory. And so he tricked her. But they're chasing after him. And she, through her own cleverness and awesomeness, is able to shoot the memory of the combination into the memory of the bottomless hole. Pretty clever, actually. And it does raise the question, which of course becomes moot by the end of the episode, but it does raise the question of whether or not Stan himself would still be able to recall the combination. Unclear. But in any event, Gideon sees Bill fail in this sort of key way and immediately, retracts his deal. Now, how much that actually stops Bill from doing anything that he wants to do is unclear again. But he certainly does not like to be made to look bad. And so he is enraged. And so he, there's a fun bit where he pulls, Mabel and Seuss into this giant arena. And it's kind of like, when I'm getting mad, and Seuss is like, apparently when he gets really mad when he gets mad. And he gets huge, and he's like, he's going to torment them with nightmares. And if the nightmare for Mabel is to make, lose her cuteness, makes her ugly. And, it just occurs to me, we have not even talked about these two cartoon boys that I think they're Zyler and Kraz. Yeah, that have been accompanying Mabel around from her fantasies. And, makes them, sends them away. And, so, and then Seuss is tormented. His nightmare is this weird sort of anthropomorphized English bulldog who's just scary, I guess. And so we have, them in trouble, right? But this is where Dipper comes to the rescue. He is armed with his knowledge that any weapon they can imagine will be made real in this place. And so with that, they are able to defeat Bill Cipher, to drive him out of Stan's mind. And they're victorious in that regard. They kind of come back together. They're able to share their mutual lessons with one another. It seems as though victory is at hand. Stan's waking up, which is going to send them out of the mindscape. But, it seems like everybody's won. Except, of course, when they wake up back in the Mystery Shack, it's revealed that while Gideon shifted to Plan B, as he said, what that means is literally take advantage of everyone being unconscious, blow up the safe, steal the deed, and now he has it. He has what he wants, and he's literally bringing in construction equipment to start demolishing the Mystery Shack, in ways that are definitely, would not easily allow a return to the status quo, and we get a to be continued finish. So, to be continued next week. But in the meantime, I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.